Episode is especially for you if you ever find yourself feeling behind or overwhelmed. Alright guys, it's finally here.
It's been a long time coming. We've been wanting to do this for a while because as great as these videos are, we aren't being able to share like the significance of these life lessons and how they've actually made an impact on our lives and how it can make an impact on your life. But we are launching a podcast. I've been mentally battling some terror barriers, which has made me push things back and make all these excuses to get things done, but we are recording our intro today and the official launch date is January 22nd. Mark that. I am now accountable for saying it out loud and we're putting it out there, but January 22nd, our podcast will be live. I was really hoping to be able to have all of our podcast supplies here and ready so that we could record our first few episodes and have at least 3 episodes posted by the time our launch date is. But I just got a notification that half of those supplies have been delayed and they might not be here for another couple days. Good news is we can still record, they just won't be as good as quality wise because we still have mics and stands and things like that. But I'm a little bummed. So here's a funny little story from yesterday. There's a saying, and I'm not sure who said it, but it is that when emotions run high, intelligence runs low. And that's why in scary movies, the characters always do really dumb things. But anyways, so my dad was helping me set up the arm thingy for my mic so that we can have it a lot easier and the setup for the podcast will be really smooth and nice and whatever. And I don't have to take it down and put it back up in our office when it's time to record. But the funny thing is I was sitting here and I was like, do you see how it's set up? And it like blocks and takes up half of my desk. And I was like, oh, maybe I need to get like a small table that I can put next to it and we'll just have the mic on that. And my dad goes, well, that's what this is for. Check this out. It's on a swivel and I didn't even notice it because I've just been going a little bit crazy. We'll say my emotions are a little high. Just anticipating the launch of this podcast and the fact that over this past weekend, our email list, the subscribers on our email list has doubled. One thing's for sure, we knew that we wanted to get this podcast started in January and we didn't really want to spend a whole bunch of extra money on supplies. And luckily I had bought a Blue Yeti microphone about a year ago. And so we figured we could make that work. But one thing that I learned from watching a ton of tutorials on YouTube was a few things on sound quality. And so we did what we could. We bought a few things. We got a couple of these pop filters, a windscreen muff for the microphone, and a shock mount and arm for the microphone so we can easily work still at this desk and just move the mic out of the way when we are not recording. However, one thing we did not get. We found out that something that is good to prevent is a lot of reverb, and that's that echoey noise that makes it sound like you're in a big room. And one way to do that is a lot of people will record in like a closet or in a soundproof room, or they put up these foam things to absorb the sound so they don't echo and bounce off the walls. Well, we were like, well, I don't really want to spend the money for that, so this is our current solution. Here it is. We use pillows. It's a very sophisticated process. We take one pillow, stick it on one side, and we take a second pillow, put it right there.
My thoughts about podcasting. Initial thought was, I thought it would be pretty simple. You just talk whatever comes to your mind. But I've learned that there's a little bit more to it. A lot of preparation, a lot of thinking beforehand. What I also have learned, though, is that as we're doing the podcast, there are a lot more things that we actually are learning, not just about podcasting, but about our lessons. It's 4:30 in the morning.
We haven't gone to bed yet.
It's our anniversary.
15 years.
And as promised, the podcast is up and live.
Podcast update. The Recounting Life Lessons podcast is now live. We took a video last night when we officially let everyone know that it was open for them to enjoy. We had 2 episodes up. I wanted 3, but that's okay. This has been such a crazy and cool learning experience. Kekoa also got his mission call in the middle of our editing. So we got to do a Zoom call in the middle of it all and hear him open it.
Dear Elder Doctor, you are hereby called to serve as missionary of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
And that was a lot of fun. And then today's our 15-year anniversary, and we slept in because we were up until 4:30 this morning just finishing up the podcast, and we slept until noon, but we were able to go grab some yummy food for our anniversary. But let me tell you a little bit about this whole experience with launching this podcast. There are so many things that we didn't know. I thought it was going to be as easy, and I think Sione did too, as we'll just sit, we'll talk about it, and we'll record it, we'll edit out the parts that sound dumb, and we'll just submit that as a podcast. But the more we started talking to people about our idea of launching this podcast, the more we started to realize that would be cheating people if we just haphazardly threw it together. If they're gonna invest their time and give up some of their time to be there and listen to our thoughts and our ideas and the things that we've learned in our experiences, then we should give them what was best. And so we reevaluated our initial ideas of how to put this thing together, and it's taken us a lot more time to write out an outline and make sure we're giving our best experiences and our best realizations from these life lessons. But it turned out into something that I think we can be really proud of, and we know it can really bless and help other people's lives. However, with all that said, during the whole editing process of our first big life lesson, my mind was constantly having to battle these doubts and these fears that kept jumping and creeping in, because I know it's just those voices that are telling myself, it's comfortable where you're at, why do you have to change? But that's how we grow. And the voices and the things that I was hearing in my head and battling were things like, nobody's gonna listen. What if a whole bunch of people actually do listen and then they're like, you oversold this. This thing is so boring. What if people think, duh, we knew that already? Or I don't know. I just had so many doubts and worries about people, that they would care, that you could hear the S sounds at the end of certain words, that they would recognize that we accidentally recorded that episode with our mic gain turned up a little too loud, and I fixed it as best as I could in post, but you can only do so much with an editing program, especially since I have no idea what I'm doing, and to do anything I had to watch a YouTube video. But all those doubts kept creeping in, and I just wanted to pull out this camera to kind of capture those emotions, because I think that's what happens anytime we're about to do something good and great, and that's going to help us grow. But on a side note, or on a more positive note, since we launched, We've had a ton of really great feedback. So many people have messaged or shared the podcast and let us know that they've listened and they've shared the things that they got out of it, and they've said that it's given them more clarity, that they've been able to see how they can be a little bit more productive. We're just super grateful. And Sione's out at a meeting right now, but I wanted to make sure I recorded this. We're super grateful. We've had so many new subscribers to our email list in the past couple days. So many people just sharing their support and helping us know, as scary as it's been to go through this whole process. And did I mention that this first episode that I edited, and I was dealing with all those voices constantly in my mind, the end episode is 42 minutes long. So you can imagine how much there was to listen through to still clean up as I did the edit, and to sit there for hours battling those thoughts, and to still be able to get it out and to get such amazing feedback. So grateful that we decided to do this, even if it was just for this initial push. Who knows where this will go. It'll be really exciting to see when we actually hit 1 million subscribers and followers, because that's my vision. I want to be able to help millions of people experience more joy in their life and draw closer to the Savior in the process.
Here's one last thing before we go.
And now, for those who have been asking, here's how you can tune into the podcast. You can come straight on your computer or on your phone and go to sioneandalana.com/podcast. To easily get to the same website from your phone and the Instagram app, come to our profile and click the sioneandalana.com/Instalinks button. Once you click that, you'll get to this page and click on Recounting Life Lessons podcast, and it will lead you to the sioneandalana.com/podcast page. Once you get to this page on our website, you'll be able to see all of these different ways to tune in. You can click any of these right here to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or Deezer, or click on any of these and it will basically take you to the equivalent and same place as these do. It's just another option. But here's an example. Go to listen on iTunes and you'll be taken to Apple Podcast, where you can listen directly here on this site. In today's podcast, we're taking a deep dive into a lesson that, when properly applied, can... And if you are wanting to listen on iTunes, you can click that and it will open up in the app. And this is actually a great place that would be super helpful if you go to for us. This is where you can subscribe and actually leave us a rating, because these are really helpful to get other people to discover us and find our podcast. But if you're like me and don't have an Apple device, you might want to go the route of listening on Spotify or Google Play instead. These are all apps that you can download on your phone and just create a free account to listen. And if even there you don't want to deal with downloading an app on your phone, or you just like listening on your computer while you're doing some other things, then you can scroll down towards the bottom of this page and we'll have all of the episodes for you there as well. So just click on those episodes and it will lead you directly to a page where you can... What's up, everyone? Before we jump into episode, and click play and listen to that podcast directly off of your computer. We also are providing a MP3 download option for those of you who want to just download it for yourself to listen. If you are, for example, going to be on the road or somewhere where you don't have internet access and you don't want to use your internet up, or if you don't want to listen on an app, all those options right there. So that's it. Just come to sioneandalana.com /podcast and you can listen and tune in.